one month, several summers ago, on an island that is a big nudist destination. And there I discovered that the most sexually attractive people are very, very old people, people who are over 80, probably. And so when they're couples and when they come to the nudist beach together and undress, the sexual energy that they have does not compare to anything you'll see on, I don't know, any young people party, or or orgy, or whatever. So I'm going to read two poems now that are set on this island of Zut. Zut 1. Lie still, he says. Like a dog on the beach, he starts digging until the hole fills up with water. He has already dug out 2 thighs of sand when she finally asks, "What's there?" Convinced there's nothing. There's nowhere he can kiss her where she hasn't already been kissed by the sun. Every evening, she goes to the ocean with her 3 sisters and their old father. They strip in a row, their bodies identical as in a paper garland. Bodies that make you think of women constantly chopping vegetables. It is like living by the train station, their father swears, and always putting the last slice into their mouths. For her, there is not even a knife left in the whole house. The sound of a cuckoo limps across the dunes. She takes a beam of sunlight, sharpened side by side with stones, and cuts with it. And you can tell her vegetables from the others by how they burn. Long after dinner, they converse in the garden. From above, ripened in their warm breath, plums fall about the table. They draw the plums one by one, like dominoes from the stalk, and sweet bones and crushed June bugs stick to the table. By now, they already stand wrapped in cocoons of white towels. Her teeth, crossed out by a blue line of lips, chatter, scratching the grains of salt. Her bitten tongue bleeds out into the mouth, a red oyster, which she gulps, breathless. Their father turns away to dry his cock, but the girls rub their breasts and crotches openly, their hands skilled at wiping tables, their heads as big as the shadow of the early moon, their nipples as big as the shadows of their heads, and black so that their milk might look even whiter. She too is rough and indifferent towards her full breasts, as if she were brushing a cat off the chair for her old father to sit down. They drink beer in the northern light that illuminates nothing but itself. Sailboats slip off their white seraphans, burying their scrawny necks and shoulders, and line up holding on to the pier as if it were a dance bar. It bothers her. What did he find there after all? So she touches herself under the towel. It is easy to find where he has been digging. The dug-up spot is still soft. The water is flat, like the fur licked down by a clean animal. A bird, big even from afar, believes the ocean is its egg. So the bird sits on the ocean patiently and feels it kick slightly now and then.
A new book is published every 30 minutes. So how do we get attention for a single book when there's so much? And so that's kind of what we're trying to navigate, through media, publicity, by any means necessary.
Do you feel happy that Amazon
Well, our marketing director, and I probably shouldn't say this in public, should I? But our marketing director had a great line the other week, and he said, you know, we're all sharecropping for Amazon, and that's it. I mean, they're setting the rules, and they're squeezing publishers like ours. And they're squeezing all publishers because they've now become these single predominant individuals. But at the same time, with some exceptions, I think some independent booksellers did drop the ball when it comes to your scarf. Okay, she needs her scarf. I think some independent booksellers.
Salamander Books, 519 North Charles.
There you go. So I mean, there's some who are doing a great job. Then there's some who frankly aren't. We have some in our area in Seattle that are just absolutely fantastic, and we've got some that have fallen by the wayside because they've not tried to distinguish themselves by yelling out in the middle of a reading. So for example, there's a bookstore in Seattle, Open Books. It was a small general bookstore, and when the advent of the chain stores came before Amazon, they did what any sane bookseller would do is they shut their doors and they reopened as a poetry-only bookstore. They now sell more books as a poetry-only store than they did as a general independent store because they couldn't compete on that level. And they went to what they knew, what they loved, and were passionate about, and they've been able to survive while Barnes & Noble and Borders are falling by the wayside. Meanwhile, Amazon, though, is, we're sharecropping.
Are there any ways as consumers to circumvent Amazon?
Yeah, go straight to the publisher.
Yeah.
Go straight to the publisher. Go to your independent booksellers. Those are the two easiest ways.
Do you guys get more of a cut from?
Oh yeah. So essentially with Amazon, if you look at the cover price of the book, and I could do a quick economics lesson in book pricing and publishing. The price of the book at this point, you'll see the cover price creeping up on books, and that's directly because of what Amazon does. They set the price of the book. So when you go on their website and you see it listed at a certain price, that's all set algorithmically according to what they may have in inventory at any given time. And within the course of 72 hours, you may see the price of the book just go up and down fairly wildly. But if I can just, the economics, there's no such thing as a $10 book, but just for the ease of math here. So a $10 book, Amazon will buy it at about a 50% discount, so they're paying $5 for it. So we end up with $5, which then we have a distribution company that sends to them. That distribution company takes 25% of the $5. So suddenly we're left with, what, $3.75 excuse me, the author gets somewhere in the range of 7 to 10%. And I know. Next one will give you 10%. 10% for a hardcover. So let's just say 7%. So so what was I was at $3.75. So roughly that 75 cents goes to the author. So we're left with $3. It costs about $2 per copy to print. We're left with $1. We have to pay the copy editors, the proofreaders, have to pay for the cover art, have to pay the designer, all these things out of the $1, my salary, and so really, right, taking poets to dinner, yeah, damn. But I get anyway. So really, you know, those economics are not set by us. They're set, you know, by an outside source. That at any time, the genius of Amazon is that they've built their business model on both a strength and a weakness of the publishing industry. There's, every book is returnable. Doesn't matter, you know, who.
Craziest
So,
thing ever.
well, it is crazy on the face of it. You know, if you think that, you know, a book goes out to a bookstore and they can return it
5 years
at
later.
5 years,
Yeah.
10 years, 20 years later, and they can return it at any time. So essentially, what we're doing is all consignment. You know, we send it out there and we just hope that it sticks. So on one hand, I just think it's crazy and it's outrageous. But on the other hand, you know, I think that it's probably an important aspect of keeping ideas, controversial ideas, difficult genres out in the marketplace. Because if booksellers were only asked to buy books that they were certain were going to sell, then we would end up with a lot of John Grisham. We would end up with books with ideas, you know, no provocative political ideas, or maybe only provocative